There's something fascinating about watching one of the most successful artists in the world walk into a room and still have to convince people she belongs there. That's exactly what happened when Beyoncé released Cowboy Carter, an album rooted in country influences, an album full of intention, and naturally an album that set the internet on fire. Some praised it, some questioned it, and some outright rejected it because Beyoncé didn't just release music, she crossed a line, a genre line, a cultural line, and a racial one too. And depending on who you ask, Cowboy Carter was either a brave reinvention or an unwelcomed invasion. But here's the thing, this isn't the first time Beyoncé has been told to stay in her lane. She was too pop for the R&B crowd, too R&B for the pop charts, and now too big, too bold, and too outsider for country music. So this isn't just a story about an album, it's a story about boundaries and what happens when a black woman decides to step outside the boxes the industry built for her. Hello everyone, it's Nessi. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. I make deep dives into the music industry because I'm genuinely fascinated by that world. I love exploring both the struggles and the successes of our favorite pop stars, the stories that happen behind the scenes, not just on stage. So if that's your kind of thing, make sure to subscribe, and without further ado, let's dive in. This ain't a country album, this is a Beyoncé album. That's how Beyoncé introduced us to Cowboy Carter. And if you weren't paying attention, that might sound like a simple genre clarification, like she's saying, don't box me in, but it's way deeper than that. Because behind that one sentence is nearly a decade's worth of silence, backlash, and expectation, all culminating in a project that forces us to ask, why does Beyoncé, of all people, still have to earn her place in a genre that her ancestors helped build? To fully understand the story of Cowboy Carter, we have to go back, way back, not just to Lemonade or even Daddy Lessons, but to the idea of genre itself and how it's used to control, include, and most importantly, exclude. Let's be real, genre was never about sound, it's always been about identity, and country music as it's marketed today is often treated like this sacred space where whiteness, Americana, and Southern values intersect. So when Beyoncé stepped into that space in 2016, the reaction said it all. Beyoncé takes the CMA stage accompanied by the Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. She performs Daddy Lessons, a brass-heavy, southern-rooted track that pays tribute to her Texas upbringing. And even though the performance was one of the night's biggest moments, something felt off. The crowd was silent. The CMA's official channel started quietly removing clips of it.
It's the highest rated 15 minutes in CMA history. And then they start getting, racist assholes bombarding their website with comments and emails and whatever. And so they take her down. They took our performance down and caved to that bullshit. And then they, I guess, got so much bad press for doing that. Within 24 hours, they put it back up again. Just cowards. It's just crazy. She just gave you your greatest ratings that you've ever gotten. How dare you take her song off?
Despite the fact that she's from Houston, Texas, despite the fact that Daddy Lessons is literally a song about growing up Southern, and despite the fact that it sounded country and was performed with one of country music's most recognizable female groups, she was still met with comments like these. and suddenly the genre that celebrates trucks, flags, and whiskey was up in arms about authenticity. But here's what they didn't want to admit. Beyoncé had done her homework. She had the southern twang, the brass band, the gospel influence, and a family history rooted in Texas. And most importantly, she had something most country artists don't have: mainstream power and critical respect. And I think that's what really made people uncomfortable. And the irony, black artists helped build country music. The banjo, one of the most iconic instruments in country, has African origins. Charlie Pride was one of the genre's biggest names in the 60s and 70s. Ray Charles made an entire country album in 1962. Linda Martell was the first black woman to perform solo at the Grand Ole Opry, but those names are rarely mentioned in country's mainstream narrative. Fast forward to 2024, Beyoncé announces the second act of her three-part project. First it was Renaissance, an ode to black queer dance music history. And now Cowboy Carter, a deep dive into the American South, not just geographically, but spiritually, politically, and most importantly, racially. Let's talk about the rollout. Calculated, symbolic, and intentionally country. From the Super Bowl Verizon ad to the surprise drop of Texas Hold'em and 16 carriages, because Beyoncé knows how this goes. She knows that once again she's entering a space that wasn't made for her, that no matter how polished her vocals are, or how deep her research goes, or how many legendary country artists co-sign her, she will still be expected to prove herself again. And we saw that play out in real time. When Texas Hold'em dropped, almost immediately the backlash began. Some country radio stations refused to play the song. This email went viral and fans had to actively campaign to get Beyoncé played on the radio. And remember, this is Beyoncé we're talking about. If she's being blocked, what does that mean for emerging black artists in the genre? What does it mean for the legacy of people like Linda Martell, who paved the way and still never got her flowers? Beyoncé doesn't forget these moments. She doesn't forget the silence from the country establishment, the quiet discomfort, the coded language, the eraser, which is why Cowboy Carter doesn't ask for a seat at the table, it builds its own table. From the very first track, American Requiem, she lays it all out. And when she says this isn't a country album, she means that in every way, because this album refuses to follow the rules of the genre. There's psychedelic rock, folk, opera, southern gospel, trap, spoken word, Willie Nelson and Linda Martell as narrators, and at the center of all of it, Beyoncé reimagining what country could sound like if it ever stopped pretending to be so homogenous. And just when the conversation couldn't get louder, Cowboy Carter won Grammys. And not just any Grammys, it won Best Country Album and Album of the Year, the same categories that once seemed completely off limits.
I still am in shock, so thank you so much for this honor.
This isn't just a win for Beyoncé, it's a win for visibility. For black women in genres they were pushed out of, for artists who don't wait for permission. It's also the first time a black woman has ever won that award ever in the 60+ year history of the Grammys, and Beyoncé once again had to be the first. She had to break down a door that should have never been closed. So yeah, Cowboy Carter isn't just Beyoncé experimenting with a new sound, it's her response to an industry that keeps drawing lines and acting surprised when she crosses them. It's a clapback, a history lesson, and a genre reset all wrapped into one. And whether people want to admit it or not, Beyoncé didn't just enter country music, she challenged who gets to define it. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this one. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love Beyoncé so much, and Cowboy Carter is one of my favorite albums. It's beyond amazing. I don't know how to describe it. It's so good. Have you listened to Cowboy Carter? Please let me know in the comments and let me know your favorite albums. And with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.
I ain't no regular singer. Look at everything you came for.